It's Grace Redman, and thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Real Talk, where I get to have real life, raw conversations with incredible people from my circles and communities who have overcome challenges and created amazing. Today, my incredible guest is Michael Price. Michael is a man who loves Jesus first. He's married to his wife, Elise, of 26 years, and together they have two adult children and two grandchildren. Michael is a business executive on a mission, helping executives and entrepreneurs build thriving careers without sacrificing their faith, health, or well being. He's the vice president of business development for Orion Groups and was recently named president of the C Suite for Christ Charlotte market. Michael is dedicated to guiding high level professionals towards success with purpose. His journey to leadership hasn't been without challenges. Michael has battled anxiety, depression, and was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, struggles that nearly derailed his career and personal life. But instead of letting them define him, he used these hardships as a catalyst for growth. Now, he's committed to helping leaders avoid burnout, embrace faith driven leadership, and learn from his past mistakes. At C Suite for Christ, Michael is actively building a powerful community of faith based business leaders through strategic partnerships and sponsorships. He connects decision makers with opportunities to expand their influence. The organization's impact includes 126,000 LinkedIn followers, a presence in 23 markets nationwide, and a top 2% globally ranked podcast. Michael's message is clear: success should never come at the cost of our well being. He's an inspiring author with his first book set to be released later this year. His passion for faith, leadership, and resilience makes him a powerful advocate for professionals seeking to lead with integrity without burning out. Please help me welcome Michael to the show today. Hey, Michael.
Hey, Grace, my friend, it is great to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. I know I always love our conversations. We're going to have a great
hmm
time today.
Oh, I agree. We're gonna have a blast.
Thank you. You're so inspiring. I mean, you've been through, so many challenges. You battled anxiety and depression and recently been diagnosed with MS. Um, can you take us back to a pivotal moment when you knew something had to change because you were just battling so many different adversities?
Yeah, I would say that was 2021 into 2022. Uh, so in 2021, I had my first heart attack. In 2022, I had my second heart attack. And I will tell you, after my first one, I had my heart attack on a Saturday. I had stints on a Sunday, and I was back to work on Monday.
Oh my goodness.
In meetings, and so obviously I didn't learn anything from the stress that had caused that. So in 2022, on Labor Day, September 6th, Labor Day 2022, I had my second heart attack, and it was a gotcha moment.
Mhm.
It was, I was still coming off of my first one, still making changes in my life, and now I've got a second heart attack to deal with. And even the cardiologist said I never saw it. He said there were no signs for that this was going to happen. So it made me take a step back. I took 6 weeks off and really started to focus on myself, mind, body, and spirit.
Yes.
Because if you don't,
Building.
if you do, yeah, if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be really that much good to anybody, whether it's at work or at home or in your circle of friends. Your cup's going to be empty, and with an empty
Yes.
cup, there's nothing to pour out from yourself.
No, or for anyone else.
Yeah, yeah.
So in those 6 weeks, I know you said it was kind of like a gotcha, but in those 6 weeks, what type of awarenesses came to you?
Well, the first awareness that came to me was I was still here. I still, had my lovely wife. We'll be married 26 years next month.
Beautiful.
Um, and my neither one of my kids were married at the time, and I still had my family. But it
Mm,
made me take a pause and really assess the landscape of what I was doing, really what I was doing wrong, because I had made the changes. After my first heart attack, I let red meat go. Okay, big deal. I let red meat go, but I didn't let anything else go. And didn't make any lifestyle changes. So it really made me take a step back and realize I have to make those changes. I still have my family, And in reality, was I gonna continue to be a healthcare executive, or was it time for a change? Well,
Mm,
at the time, it wasn't time for a change. I had a phenomenal leadership team that just said, "Go away and don't come back until you're ready."
beautiful.
And after 6 weeks, I went back and I'd made some changes. I had rested, reset, recharged, and then recommitted, and made sure my priorities were right. In my opinion, work should not be your first priority.
Mhm.
Because for me, it's faith, family, and then work.
Yes,
Um, and
me too.
and 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 when oh, that's fantastic. And then when you have it in that order, wow, you become more charged with the mission of the organization. You set the example for your team, and they become more productive. They become a stronger team just by making simple tweaks in your lifestyle and reprioritizing what's most important to you.
I love that, and I'm with you. I used to put, work first, myself, family, it was kind of there, and
Hmm.
I've learned, when I put my faith first and filling my cup first, and I'm going to be a better mother,
Mm.
wife, entrepreneur. So thank you so much for affirming that
Yeah.
because I feel like we're conditioned to believe that we need to put work first
Oh yeah.
before everything else.
Yeah.
And so how have those struggles and overcoming those adversities shape how you lead today?
Well, it's created a sense of perseverance in my life because you mentioned depression, anxiety, which was almost 30 years ago, up until last year, which was my multiple sclerosis diagnosis. But it's really created um, more of an awareness. I mean, I have such a passion now. So for me, I focus on myself a lot, and I have a keynote, and I call it "Unselfish, Making Way for Me," because so many people think when you focus on yourself, it's so selfish, but it's so unselfish for you to do that, because when you focus on yourself, it allows you to put more focus on the things around you, your family, your friends, your colleagues, your those that report into you and rely on you for things. So it brought into me better focus
Mm,
than I'd ever had before.
thank you. That's amazing because we believe like we need to go 24/7 to
Mm.
be successful. Can
Oh
you
yeah.
debunk that myth for us, please?
Yeah, I was that guy. I traveled every week. I worked 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I was on calls till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I would be up at 6, and I'm telling you, it is not sustainable.
No.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say there's a 100% fail rate. It may
Yeah,
take you years to get there, but you're not gonna be able to sustain that.
I
At some
agree.
point, you're gonna fail.
I've been there. I've experienced several burnouts, and it's not sustainable, and you're going to
Mhm,
fail, and you're not gonna I didn't feel fulfilled either. There was moments of, having fun and feeling good, but I always felt exhausted too.
mhm. Oh, yeah, yeah.
And so we talk about faith-driven leadership. So what does faith-driven leadership look like in a world where, let's be honest, like most people prioritize profit and the
Mhm.
bottom line? So how do we bring in faith-driven leadership? What does that look like?
I do it as a servant leader. So, um, I always put a lot of faith in my team. I surrounded myself with very smart people because I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I made
Mm,
sure I had the smartest people in the room on my team. And I
amen to
became
that.
a servant. I became a servant leader to them, meaning that I'm not micromanaging. I put my faith and my trust in them. I brought them into the organization. I put them in a specific role. So it's not my job as a leader to tell them what to do and then tell them how to do it,
Mm,
because that takes away any of the skill that they brought to the team away from them. So trust in your team,
mm,
give them the opportunity to succeed or fail. We learn our biggest lessons when we fail. So if we
yes.
don't allow someone to fail, we're doing them a disservice.
Yes. Oh, I love all of that. And you know what just came up in my mind? for someone to be able to do that, trust their team, have faith in their team, step back, allow them to make mistakes, like, that leader needs to be someone who's very confident and
Mm,
very who trusts themselves and who's secure in themselves.
right, right, and you have to develop them. I mean, so if you're a good leader, you're a servant leader, you're developing your team and you're having the easy and the hard conversations with them. Let's face it, being a leader, it requires you to do the hard things. It means you're not going to get the credit when things are going well, and you're going to get all the credit when it fails.
That's true. That's
But
true.
yeah,
So how what's some advice to a leader who's listening, who has a hard time with not because I meet with so many clients and they feel like, I worked on this project, I didn't get the credit, someone else did. What's the advice you would give someone who's feeling that they're not being recognized? Because it sounds like you just step back.
yeah. I mean, listen, a good leader knows. I mean, I had almost 300 people that reported into me, and I knew who the leaders were. I knew the ones that were getting the job done, and in reality, they really became my utility players. They're the ones that I could put into any type of situation, no matter what it was, and they would succeed. I mean, they would excel in it. So I would say, first of all, own it. Just
Mhm.
own your whatever your task is, whatever your task with doing, own it, and the leaders are going to notice. I
You're right.
guarantee you. And even if it's not your leader, listen, there's some leaders out there that are not, let's just say they're not the greatest leaders, but other leaders are going to notice you. In my career, I had I never asked for a position or a title or a certain job. I always thought my actions will speak louder than anything I can say, and if they're not, then I don't deserve that next role. So there were times where I had other leaders from other departments come and seek me out and brought me on as part of their team. So I would say don't worry about it. Do your
Mhm.
job, excel at it, be the best person that you can be at your job, and people will notice.
Ooh, I love that. It's like stay in your own lane.
Yeah.
Do what, you're meant to do, supposed to do, and it'll come around, like, you will get noticed.
Yeah, most of the leaders out there don't have a title. It
That's
doesn't
true.
it doesn't take a title to be a leader. You
You're so true, you're
create
so
the skills, be the leader, and then get the title.
yes, and we talk about be the CEO of your, life and of your role,
Mhm. I
whatever
love
that
it.
is, and take ownership, and, I heard the other day that most people don't really work as hard as they believe they do. What do you think of that?
Um, I would take it a step further and say some people work harder than they need to work, and they
Mm.
think they're getting more work done when they're out all actually they're not. My dad told me something a
Ooh.
long time
Oh,
ago.
that's so good.
Yeah, so my dad was a national sales manager. He was an executive, years ago and traveled all over the country, and the role that he obtained came down to 2 separate people. One that worked every day, weekends, couldn't, work late nights, and he didn't. And when they were looking to see who would get the next role, they said, "Well, obviously this guy over here that works weekends and late nights can't get the job done in the time allotted, and my dad could, so he got the role." So
Ooh,
sometimes we think we're going above and beyond, or in actuality, how come you can't get the job done in the allotted amount of time?
ooh, that's so good. That's so good. I know we talked a little bit about hustle recently, and I had awareness come up because, I love the hustle and grind.
Mhm.
However, I realized, like, "Ooh, okay, if I really dig deep, there's a fear under the hustle."
Hmm.
And if kind of we step back and like your dad, like he flowed, he got his work done and he made time for other things, which I believe creates that flow for us.
Yeah, yeah, but you're right. You can get. I had a tendency to get caught up in that grind and that
Mhm.
hustle, and sometimes I can't tell you for what reason I was doing it for, but you get caught up into it because for me, it's completing something. I ran a very large project management office. I ran field services. I ran a team called clinical informatics, that trains physicians and nurses and comes up with processes. And you get caught up in that. You want to complete something and see how it comes about, and see things done to build up the team and build up the company and create more profits, streamline processes. I mean, you get caught up in all that, and that can drive you to working longer hours, more days, and that pulls you away from your family, and it leads
Yes.
to burnout that we've had conversations about several times.
Yes. Yes. And I again, I appreciate how you're affirming that we can definitely create success, especially, using your dad's story as an example without working 24/7, without hurting ourselves. Because I see so many, and like we said, we talked about it, we've been through it, and I still see so many people hurting themselves by just not making space for anything else but work. And that creates so many other challenges in their life. It breaks down the relationships, their health, their mental health. So,
Hmm.
mental health, let's talk about that. It's not often talked about in executive circles. Um, what is something that you wish leaders understood more about when it comes to anxiety and depression and our overall mental health as employees?
Yeah, so listen, I'll give you my example. You mentioned it at the beginning of this show. So I dealt with depression and a suicide attempt 27 years ago. I didn't talk about it for 27 years, not until last month when I started to
Okay.
go public, because it's very prevalent. There's over 14 million people in 2023 that seriously thought about attempting suicide. Over a million of them actually attempted it, and 50,000 were successful. So it's something very prevalent in our society. But to your point, it's not something people want to talk about. So this is what I would say: the biggest advice I can give to executives and to leaders is to listen. Listen and pay attention to your teams. When someone's habits start to change, and if and especially let's take a good employee, someone that's a good employee that's always been productive on your team, and all of a sudden there's a change. They may start coming in late, they may start missing meetings. Don't just go straight to discipline and asking why they're not coming to meetings. Have a conversation and then listen, because so many people don't talk because no one's listening. So just
Mm,
listen.
so communication.
It's it oh that is one of my 4 C's is
Mm.
communication. Yes.
What are the other three C's?
Collaboration, customer, and cost. So when you look at it from, I used to look at it from a project perspective, but when you look at it from any perspective that of any type of work you're doing, if you're not communicating, then your leadership doesn't know when there's problems or issues. If you're not
Mm,
communicating to your customers, they don't know what you're doing, and they start to get worried. Collaboration means collaborate with everyone that's involved in whatever task you're doing. Make sure your operational, your business partners, your leadership, it's a team, it's a collaboration, and you're not just going out, and you're the lone person out there working on some project on an island. Let's get off the islands and let's collaborate as a team. Customer is Know who your customer is, because if you don't know who your customer is, you got problems.
mhm,
Know who your customer is, and then cost. Everything that we do costs something. So make sure you're either driving to a budget, you know what the budget is, you know what your resources are, and a lot of times we'll fall behind. So make sure you've got mitigation plans to resolve whatever those issues are. So those are my 4 C's. My team used to know them: communication, collaboration, customer, and cost.
mhm, mhm. Boom.
And yeah, and it is. You will be successful if you're focusing on them.
Yes, I agree. I agree. You're right. You need to know who your customer is. You need to collaborate, communicate, and you definitely need to know your costs. I think so
Hmm.
many businesses aren't aware of the cost, and they're not strategic when it comes to that either.
Right.
And so you've, took this, you had the 2 heart attacks, you had the burnout, you took those 6 weeks, and you talked about having to change the way you do things. What was the hardest thing to change?
Um, so when I came back, I stopped traveling, and it's going to sound really strange, but I was home more. So that was different for me and different for my family. Me being home,
That's not strange.
yeah, and really getting used to a new flow. I'm going through something similar now. It made it easier because of what I went through several years ago, but it was getting used to a new routine, a new flow, and not having work as the priority. And pulling. It's tough when you go from when you're hustling and grinding, and you're focused on work and the mission and your team, to that not being the main focus, and you pull in line your faith, family, and then work. Once you get there, it's a beautiful thing, but getting there is tough
It's tough.
because your family's not used to it, work's not used to it, your friends are not used to it, and they start looking at you like you're strange or something, like you got two heads or something, and
What are you doing here?
um,
Walking around.
yeah. So, but once you get there, like I said, it's a beautiful thing, but getting there's tough.
And when you say getting there is tough, did you have to do some mindset shifting around that as
Yeah,
well?
mindset is key,
Mm.
because without the mindset, you're not going to accomplish it. Here's a good example. And I'm gonna say something absolutely crazy and off the cuff here.
I love
Your
it.
your calendar will
It's Grace Redman. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you here at Real Talk. If you've been inspired by what you're hearing and you're ready to take things to the next level, I would be honored to work with you. If you're a leader or entrepreneur ready to soar, I offer one on one coaching to help you create a business and life of freedom that you are excited to wake up to. And if you're craving something more intimate, I offer a personal VIP day that includes deep dive coaching, a nature walk, and an early dinner. I promise you will leave just feeling rejuvenated. If this speaks to you, please reach out and let's do this together. You can find me at www.graceredmond.com. Now, back to the program.
your calendar will let you schedule time for yourself. You may not
Amen.
think that it can, but so now I'm in a different type of situation, and my wife owns my calendar,
Mm,
and we put lunches on there, we
mm,
schedule breaks on there. I get one long day a week. That's on Tuesdays is my long day, and so if someone wants to schedule a 7 o'clock meeting out on the West Coast, and we do that on Tuesdays, and we use AI and we use technology now to remove some of those manual processes. Calendar's a big thing. She owns a calendar, but she set up a tool. We all a lot of us use the same tool, and I no longer have to spend half my day looking at my calendar,
mm.
comparing it to your calendar, and seeing when we can meet up. We've gotten much smarter than we used to be.
I love it. And again, this is something I also focus on. With my clients is integrating our personal and professional lives because we are not just
Mm,
our work. And I believe when we compartmentalize, like we've been taught to compartmentalize as a society, we fragment ourselves and we're disconnected.
mhm.
So I
I
love
agree
how
with that.
you're bringing this to the table, and I'm seeing some other coaches starting to bring it to the table because I believe that this is the next steps for us to take to really help our society as a collective, because I feel like we've just completely been disconnected, and this is what we need to do, bring it back to, our whatever faith you choose, and to ourselves and to our families and then to business. And I feel like, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that we can really make incredible changes.
Mhm. We can. So I'm going to give you. So in my book, that's going to come out later this year, I've got a tremendous amount of well-known contributors, that people will know, and then some of them are very powerful, high-performing executives. And one of them said this to me when I did the interview the other day. She said, "It is impossible to separate personal from professional." A lot of people talk about work-life balance. It's impossible because when you do, you are going to push your family away, or you're going to
Yes.
push away your colleagues. You're going to push away your friends. It's impossible. So integrate them, own it, and then
Yes.
figure out what the balance is between your personal and your professional life. But don't
Right.
try to segment them because it won't work. And I I,
Yes.
I agree with that.
I
I
agree
agree
with
with
it.
that.
I agree with it as well. And I wanna take it a step further. How do you like, does this resonate? I feel maybe sometimes people, put all of their energy into work as a distraction, so they don't really have to deal with the other things that
Mm,
are going on in their lives in their
wow.
life.
Wow. That's profound. We're getting deep now, Grace. I
Well,
mean,
you know I can get deep. You
we're
know
we're getting we're getting deep. It's Yes, it's so easy to say, okay, things are not going right at home, or I just don't want to deal with something. So,
Right.
I can, if you're traveling, man, you're going to go out of town.
Mhm.
You're going to create meetings that you probably don't need to be on. So
Right.
yeah, it's very easy to fall into that trap. So
Mhm.
listen, there's two words you got to learn, and you got to start using, and that's own it. Just own it.
Yes.
Whether that's your personal professional life, own it.
Yes.
We're all professionals, we're leaders, so don't go
Yes.
and try to hide in your work.
Yes, and I just talked about this, on another podcast, like, it's okay, like, own your mess.
Mm,
Own, if there's, shame or you're feeling guilt or there's something going on, like, lean into it. It's okay, we're all human. None of us are perfect, and just own it, and then once we own it, I feel like you have, like, this, you can exhale, and then,
mhm.
"Okay, what's the step I'm gonna take next?"
Yeah,
To better make things better for myself and the people I love and my team.
yeah, yeah, and I agree with that. And so here's the thing, like, part of the reason why I had my depression led to my event is that I didn't like to ask for help. You just
Mm,
mentioned you're a coach. There's other coaches out there. So ask for help, ask for assistance. And I'm not saying that you're going through depression that's going to lead to suicide, but we go through many different things in our lives, and sometimes you just got to be able to stop and be able to ask somebody for help. And for it's different for everybody. For some people, that's professional help. For some people, it's a friend. For some people, it's a colleague, or maybe even your boss if you get that type of relationship. Or you
mm.
need a coach. You need to call Grace and say, "Hey, I need some coaching." So reach out, and don't think that you have to do this on your own.
No, we don't have to do this on our own, and I think for me, that's where the faith comes in, and I've learned, during my hard times, I can't he can, so let him, and I cannot do this on my own. I've tried, it's not gonna work. Surrender, reach out to family, to friends, to a leader that you trust. That feels better too. Just to
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Change your just. My advice is change one thing. Change
Yes.
one thing and make sure it's something difficult. For me, I was never a morning person.
Mm,
Never. I love and I'm on the East Coast and I work in Central Time. So I'm like, my day don't start till 9 a.m. So I gotta sleep till 7:30, 8 o'clock.
right.
I get up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock now. Because
Ditto.
you mentioned man of faith, love the Lord. When I get up, my first fruits are in the word, meditating, praying,
Yes.
starting my day out. Just refreshing. There's nothing going on at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm by myself, and so it allows me to get my reading, get my prayer time, my meditation, sitting there, just just to be able to get refreshed before I start my day, and then it allows me to begin my day my way. I don't
Yes.
have to start it out with I don't get up and check email. For goodness sakes, don't check email when you first get up. Don't even grab your phone. Because
Mhm.
once you do, you're done. You're gonna
Yes.
start your day, and it's not gonna start the way that you want it to start.
I agree, and I love that. Ditto. I love getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning because that's my time, like you said, for prayer, meditation, reflection, my visualization, just being. And then, like you said, I start the day on my terms.
Mhm.
How important do you think that morning routine is to your success, not your success, but to someone's success?
Vital.
Okay.
If you don't do it, I mean, listen, look at the most successful people in the world. Most of them are early risers. Most of them get the 6 or 7 hours of sleep each night. Most of them read tons and tons of books. I never read a lot. I'm on my ninth book already this year, and it's all self-development. Mine's faith-driven leadership, mine's positivity.
Mhm.
I've got all kinds of authors just sending me books, wanting me to read them, but
Nice.
I make sure that it's something that's going to benefit me. I don't read just to read. I want to
Mm,
read so it helps develop some part of me or helps edify me in some way. So
mhm,
so if you don't have a morning routine, and you say I'm a night person, you need to if you wanna be successful, you need to become a morning person.
I love that. That's why we get along. We have so many things in common.
Yep.
So so for someone who's listening and they're like, "Okay, like, I'm overwhelmed, I'm burnt out, like, this seems like a lot." What would be the first step? What would you recommend the first step they take?
Stop. So when I get overwhelmed, I just stop, walk away. So I have the 4 R's. It's rest, reset, recharge, and recommit. The
Mm,
first one, so rest means in order to rest, I have to stop. And
mhm,
so if you're in an office building, you work at home, a lot of people work at home now. Go outside, go go someplace where you feel positive, where it's
mm.
a place of happiness for you. And
Oh,
go and just be alone for a minute. Collect your thoughts. That's the rest. And as you start to rest, your body's gonna reset itself.
mhm, mm.
But then allow yourself to recharge. You know, for some people that's coffee. For some people that's walking around the lake or walking around the block one lap. It's different for everybody. And then recommit. Before you come back, recommit. You know that I'm going to recommit not to let myself get to that point again. So follow the 4 R's,
Mm.
but number 1 is just stop.
I love that, so good. Ah, and one thing I wanna congratulate you on is the presidency for C-Suite for Christ for
Mhm.
Charlotte. Congratulations, that's
Thank you.
very exciting and amazing. So share with us a little bit about C-Suite for Christ.
Yeah, so C-Suite for Christ, it's amazing how it came about. You know, I mentioned I'm a pastor in the area. My church, I ended up leaving the church, and then I ended up retiring early. And I met the founder, Paul Newberger of C-Suite for Christ, and they're growing like crazy. You mentioned 100, almost 130,000 followers
Yeah.
on LinkedIn, and top 2% international podcast on all the various different platforms, and with more to come. I mean, we'll be on Sirius XM here shortly, and we've got some other shows in the works. We're the 23rd market. We've got thousands of members across the country, and what we do is we partner with business executives, leaders, and owners like yourself,
Mhm.
and really we help embolden them. You know, we help them to be more confident in their faith, taking it to work with them, being able to openly discuss it and talk about it, and not being ashamed of it.
Amen.
So we do monthly gatherings where we bring in phenomenal keynote speakers from all over the country, and so we do that once a month. We also meet once a week. We send out daily devotions, just very short little nuggets just to help you get through your day. And then 3 times a year we do big events. I mean, we had Tim Tebow last summer. We got Mel
Hey,
Hodge coming up in May. We had Kevin Sorbo this past weekend. Mike Huckabee is part of my movement and has come and spoken at our larger events. So yeah, we're and Charlotte's going strong. You know, for anybody in Charlotte, reach out to me. I would love to talk to you, but we've had a lot of. I probably had 24 calls in the first week and a half with various different people, some organizations. So yeah, really excited about what we're doing here.
that's super exciting, and for those listening, definitely where can they find you if they're interested to now, do they have to be in Charlotte to join the Charlotte chapter?
No, no,
Okay.
if you don't have a chapter in your city, reach out to me and we can either get one started or happy to have you part of mine. So
Yes.
and we're on LinkedIn. You can go to C Suite for Christ Charlotte. You can go to C Suite for Christ. You can go to C Suite for Christ.com. You know, I've got my website, michaeljprice.com. It's under construction. They're building it right now, but you can still send me a message or a note to get a hold of me for more information.
All right. And we'll also share your contact information for those listening and
Hmm.
watching. It's been such a pleasure having you join me. I always love our conversations. And what's one last nugget of wisdom that you'd like to leave our audience with?
Oh, I'm going to go back to something I said. If you want to be a leader and you want to be a good leader of people, be a servant leader. Don't be someone that barks orders. Don't be
Mhm.
someone that thinks you have to micromanage and and whatever you're leading, own it. I mean,
Yeah.
I had the last boss that I had in the last healthcare system I worked at, a great mentor of mine. I simply call her friend now, and she said nobody gets a hall pass. You know, so I want you to ponder that thought and realize what I'm saying when you say nobody gets a hall pass. I mean, so you own it, you know, and I'm not just talking about the tasks that you're given to own at your place of business. I'm talking about You don't get a whole pass on how you treat your family. You don't get a whole pass on how you treat your body. You don't get a whole
Mhm.
pass on how you treat your team at work. So nobody
Ooh,
gets a whole pass.
so good. Accountability. Thank you so much for joining me. That was amazing. So fun. I could stay here with you for another hour. I just want to
Yeah,
be
we're
respectful
done so
of
early.
your time. And thank you everyone for watching and listening. Please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate, reach out. I will definitely look at the comments. And if there's questions for Michael, we'll get those to him. And we appreciate you for being here. And until next time, have an incredible day. Hey, love, thank you so much for listening today. I am so grateful for you. I'd like to show you my appreciation by gifting you a free forgiveness self hypnosis audio download. Part of living the fun and fabulous life is practicing forgiveness. Forgiveness can be such a long and challenging process. My intention is that this forgiveness audio will help you in practicing forgiveness, especially with yourself. Grab it by visiting daretoachieve.com/forgiveness. For more inspiring tips, make sure to connect with me on social media. Drop me a line on Facebook or Instagram at Grace Redman Dare to Achieve. Until next time, keep moving forward towards living your fabulous life.